So welcome back everybody. In this particular episode, we're going to be installing a diverter valve on this Solis H24 so we can control this grapple up front. So welcome back to our everyday viewers. You should recognize this tractor. This right here was the original Solis H24 that I had on the property for well over a year and a half. Well, a really good friend of mine wound up buying that tractor, and now he's decided that he wants a grapple, and I'm gonna do the work installing his diverter kit that he just picked up. This is also a good opportunity to give y'all a little bit of feedback. This particular Solis H24 is well over 2 years old, has about 130 hours on it, and has been bulletproof. Has not went to the shop not one single time. Our friend's really enjoying it. I currently have the upgraded model to this, the H24 Plus, and mine already come with the diverter valve. It has a different loader, higher lifting capacities, but a very, very similar machine. That one has 50 hours on it, and again, hasn't made one single trip to the shop. These have been some solid machines with 2.5 years of testing with 2 models. So let me explain what we're gonna do today. We're actually gonna be tapping into the curl functions of the loader and diverting that flow by the push of a button. We're gonna be changing out the handle up here to a valve that's gonna mount on this plate right here that's set up for it. So when the button's pressed and you do your typical curl functions, the hydraulic flow is diverted to the cylinder here on this Titan grapple. It'll open and close, and when you let off the button, you get back to your standard curl function. So according to the manual, we're gonna be removing these hoses right here. We're gonna be tapping in here and then directing hoses down to the valve itself. Then we'll route a wire back up to the handle right here, which we're gonna replace. We need to do some basic connections to the battery underneath the hood. This actually looks like a relatively straightforward install. All right, so I have a pan on the floor to catch some drips. Again, these 2 hoses right here going to this cylinder are going to be removed, along with these 2 top metal hoses right here to allow for new fittings in different lengths. We removed the T-fittings right here. We removed the 2 pipes that went up top, along with the brackets that go here and right there that hold them. And we're gonna stop at these 2 factory hoses. Here's how reassembly will go. The kit comes with 2 new metal hoses that'll run right here. We're gonna start with those, put our clamp bracket back on, install some new fittings here. You're gonna see we're about to use up some 2 elbows that goes to 2 T's. Elbows will come off of these metal fittings. We've got some new fittings going into the cylinder and some new hoses. And this is the diverter valve kit that we picked up. There's our valve, our handle, all the wiring, our new pipes, all of our new hoses. Even comes with new clamps, elbows, a whole bag of other fittings, T's, and everything is also labeled. Okay, this looks relatively straightforward. We've got a lot of connections to make, but nothing looks overly complicated. All right, here's our 2 pipes already pre-bent to match the loader arm bend. We're just gonna put everything in loosely for now, just to kind of hold it in place until we get all the exact lengths and fittings put in where we need to adjust. All right, so now we're on to the wiring, and we'll go over all the hose routing in a second. So as you've seen, I just connected the cable to the front side of this valve assembly. I've ran my electrical cable up through here, zip tied ever so often, come back down right through here, and then I have run underneath the hood right here. It's gonna be a good place to tuck all my wire up here by the battery. Now that's what comes from the valve body. There's a whole other wiring harness that comes with this. You can see it's got a long connector right here. That we're actually gonna run back out this direction, down. I'm just gonna zip tie on these hoses, come up, and that connects to the handle that you just seen me install right there. There's a connector about midways on the harness that looks identical. That's what connects to this harness right here that we just run from the valve body. And then the last connections on this harness is a positive and negative to the battery, and it is fused. We'll just wrap everything up, zip tie it in here, keep it out of the weather. So relatively straightforward, everything snaps in. Only 2 connections have to be made as far as physical battery terminal connections. So let's take a look at the hoses that we have ran here for just quick reference in case you decide this is something you're going to tackle. So we have our valve down here. It has 2 hookups on top with 90s in it. The hose furthest to the right hand side. You can see we're in the front of the tractor. We'll call that the right side. That hose comes here and goes to the top T hookup. See, there's the bottom T where we separated those lines. There's the top. That top loops on around and goes to the bottom of this cylinder. So obviously this side is going to come and go to the bottom T, loops up and over and goes to the top of the cylinder. And then of course it goes back up to the hard lines, which are already factory installed. We didn't have to touch nothing on that cylinder. On the bottom side of the valve, we have 2 hoses. So the hose that's closest into this side comes up right here, runs up and goes to the bottom line going back down the loader. So this line over here, furthest that direction on the tractor, comes up and goes to the top line running to the rear. Then all you're left with are these 2 hookups right here. Now this kit does come with these style couplers right here, just 3/8 thread on one end, but I'm starting to find the majority of equipment is using what's called flat face couplers, and that's what my friend's grapple came with. I'm slowly converting everything to flat face couplers myself because my other equipment has started using this. This right here is called a 1/2 inch body, so they have a 3/8 body, 1/2 inch, and a 3/4. Run whatever size that you need for your equipment, but you'll just have to adapt it down to 3/8 hose or whatever size hose that you're running. On these smaller tractors, everything's using 3/8. This grapple come with 3/8, so that's the most common size for this kind of flow rate. So what I have ordered is 1/2 inch body by 3/8 thread, which is what that is, adapters. They should be in just a little bit. We'll screw those on, and then now I can make my connections down here. All right, well, I would call that a success. Just do a couple of quick looks here for any potential drips or leaks. I did not see any the whole time I was cycling it, so we have everything snugged up correctly. I love how wide this particular grapple opens. Typically, you never see a compact grapple open as wide as this one. I think my friend's really gonna enjoy that. Okay, no leaks, everything looks good. I'm telling you, whenever it comes to grapples and diverter valves, it's one of those things when you have a tractor and you finally get it, you wonder how you've always lived without it. When I finally first got my grapple just a few years ago, it is such a heavily used piece of equipment for me, makes cleanup an absolute breeze. So now my friend should be thrilled that his little Solis tractor has the same function that mine does as well. And he's got a very impressive grapple from what I can see. Maybe this might help you out with an install that you might have in the future. We'll catch you on the next one.